This video provides you an overview of the New South Wales State Emergency Service experience of the March floods from a geospatial intelligence perspective. This event showed how geospatial intelligence capabilities provided the agility crucial in operations to respond to what is needed in incident management teams to provide the best intelligence possible. The event happened with over a week of significant rainfall and flooding between the 17th and 26th of March, including severe weather warnings covering 6 million people, resulting in New South Wales having its second wettest day, third wettest week, and second wettest March on record since 1900, as identified by the Bureau of Meteorology in their climate statement number 74. Some event statistics include over 14,500 requests for assistance and over 1,000 flood rescues, more than 26,000 calls to the 132500 number, not including the flood information line, and unfortunately, 2 deaths in New South Wales that are subject to coronial investigations. There were major resupply operations for Lord Howe Island and isolated properties along the Barwon and Darling rivers. Overall, more than 4,100 New South Wales SES members were engaged with over 350 interstate personnel, as well as other New South Wales emergency agencies supporting the event. In total so far, there have been 56,000 claims for $650 million worth of damages and over $490 million of recovery grants. We had 35 rivers in flood, 3 dams on amber alert, which means spilling is imminent, and 98 Bureau of Meteorology forecast locations where a warning was issued. Looking at broken records across New South Wales, multiple sites broke rainfall records, such as Mount Seaview, which was over a metre higher than the previous record. For flood records, Logan's Crossing on Camden Haven River exceeded the previous record by 1.6 metres, followed by Kindy Bridge on Hastings River, exceeding the previous record of 1.1 metres. For Taree and Wingham, this was their second highest flood on record, with a 1 in 100 year flood at Taree and a 1 in 200 year flood in Wingham. This event was also a record for New South Wales SES, with the highest number of evacuations issued and communities alerted via SMS and or phone call. In total, warnings or evacuation orders were issued to approximately 88,000 people, including 18,000 people in the Hawkesbury and Nepean Valley. Many real-time improvements were made to this dashboard during the event, adding extra data and functionality. The dashboard started out in rows, but as the evacuations increased, it was difficult to scroll, so it was changed to columns to see, select, and view areas clearly. Turning to the geospatial information available, there is a suite of geospatial intelligence tools that New South Wales SES staff and volunteers use in incident management teams, emergency operations centres, including the State Command Centre in Wollongong, and the State Emergency Operations Centre, or SEOC, at Olympic Park. Part of our planning and preparedness tools is the New South Wales Flood Data Portal, implemented in 2017 through the New South Wales Flood Data Access Program. The portal enables floodplain and dam managers the ability to share and distribute floodplain studies and datasets to government and industry partners. This provides New South Wales SES the basis for the strategic flood database, which informs emergency management decisions and is for government use only. For planning and preparedness, our core planning tool is GEMS, the Geospatial Emergency Mapping System. GEMS provides a wealth of information across the state using New South Wales Government Foundation datasets as the development of operational datasets such as warning areas, evacuation areas, routes and centres. It also provides analysis on community resilience from state and national datasets. Here you can see requests for assistance clustered across the state during the event with historical flood information displayed. Regarding response by New South Wales SES, all staff and volunteers and anyone working in our incident management teams have access to our Map Centre, which is an Esri ArcGIS hub that not only provides access to real-time information, but also the Geospatial Exposure Analysis Reports, also known as GEAR reports. GEAR reports are based on New South Wales government datasets providing the extent of impact for severe weather and thunderstorm warnings, unit areas, or the other areas of interest, such as the tsunami impact zone. Gear reports were created for each warning and evacuation area. Our primary strategic tool is SES Maps web map, meaning the multi-agency platform for sharing. Maps is where the event strategic overview across the zone or state is visible. Here you can see the bomb warning areas overlaid with bomb radar of rainfall and our operational features in the middle of the event. As data is acquired during the event and made available, this is added to maps for reference as well. Here is the line scan across Windsor that was taken as the Air Affairs plane was on its way to capture peak flooding across Moree. We also provide an analytics dashboard of our requests for assistance, updated every 2 minutes, showing clustering of jobs. This was changed to search a custom date during the event, as well as extended time periods for insights over the course of a day. What was great to see evolve during this event was the whole of government data acquisition that was coordinated by Spatial Services Emergency Information Coordination Unit. They quickly coordinated the key players, including Geoscience Australia, who tasked the Earth monitoring satellite Sentinel under the Copernicus program. This satellite requires a 24-hour lead time for tasking, and with the scale and continual change in this event, there was added pressure to determine which rivers were hitting major peak floods and when. We couldn't task all 35 river basins, only 6 to 8 at a time over the main towns. So over the 4 days, Copernicus was available. Before it moved to track the central USA tornadoes, we hit 9 out of 10 towns at or close to peak, an excellent strike rate. What was fantastic was the MCNA team, who developed the New South Wales Flood Hub, providing the Copernicus initial assessment maps available to not just the New South Wales SES, but all government agencies. This hub took great pressure off New South Wales SES to provide this information. Spatial Services continued to support the Western flood efforts well after the East Coast was recovering. One example is this cyan infrared imagery of Brewarrina at flood peak, providing vital intel on flood response in these regions. Other data captured included LiDAR of landslips for Public Works and Transport for New South Wales, who needed this for a quick plan of action, was available within days, provided by Spatial Services through the New South Wales Spatial Collaboration Portal. Here is a midnight line scan of Moree with an overlay of 2 days of Copernicus datasets, overlaid showing in effect real-time flood extents, all available to our intelligence function within 24 hours for response and recovery planning. Ensuring the community is aware of the impending flood is very important. This is achieved through communications via SMS, phone calls, or social media. However, when comms go down and/or it's essential that the community is informed, we can ensure this is completed with door knocking, such as along Picton Main Street. With the extent of devastation from these floods, it is vital for planning of recovery efforts to understand the level of damage. Multi-agency teams were used to complete rapid damage assessment across all affected river basins. Over 15,000 assessments were completed, with over 1,200 properties identified as not habitable, resulting in many families displaced. These assessments were completed over 5 days, with over 2,500 personnel out in the field using the same field collection apps to capture the data. This dashboard reported in real time back to the State Command Centre and the State Emergency Operations Centre to inform recovery efforts. During the event, most of the filters you see at the top of the dashboard were added to enable suburb unit and LGA snapshots, resulting in the dashboard being used as a reporting tool for many reports. We were extremely fortunate during the event that as floods were receding, we had clear skies, enabling aerial reconnaissance across the Hawkesbury Nepean and Moree using the Quick Capture app, as well as RFS ACT Firebird helicopters conducting video aerial reconnaissance. During the event, pop-ups were enabled and configured so that data, including photos, could be selected from either map on the left or the list of recent photos on the right. It was great to see our real-time web maps and dashboards front and centre for evidence-based decision making from the Premier and the Commissioner, showcasing that the geospatial capability is not just information, but intelligence, providing insights to inform New South Wales SES next steps. Our maps were also available 24/7 in the State Command Centre in Wollongong. For more information on our geospatial capabilities, please get in contact with Melissa Daly via our team group email at gis@ses.nsw.gov.au.